Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode, sexual consent and sexual compliance. And I'm really excited about this one because I was about to release it on Friday, or at least release it today, and I was recorded on Friday, and when I listen to it, which is very, very rare. Normally I sort of just make it and then release it without listening to it because it puts pressure. But I felt like I really need to do justice with this one because I can guarantee you when you listen to this, not only is it going to reshape the way you think about approaching your sexless relationship, it is literally going to change everything in terms of where you're going to go with the relationship. And I mean that because it's absolutely different to everything that you've read, listened to, or watched in terms of videos. This is really taking you to the next level. And I believe so because you have to look at this. I've spoken to a few people today already about this and really just especially the guys in Reignite, man, who started talking about this in order for them to just start rethinking how they approach seduction, how they approach sexuality within their relationship, because we've talked a lot about building comfort around sex and sexual interactions. But while you're doing that, you have to start understanding the difference within like your approach, and you have to be cool with consent and compliance and really understand what's really going on within your interactions. Because if you're not cool with consent, what I mean by that is that when you think about consent, there's you have to look at it from a coin perspective. There's two sides to it. One side of the coin of consent is the fact that sometimes within a sexless relationship, guys would put pressure on their partner, or they refuse to put pressure on their partner because they don't want their partner to feel any sort of external pressure in order for them to end up in a sexual place or to be guilt-tripped into having sex. So again, when you start brandishing the divorce, because we're not having sex, I want to therefore go divorce. And again, this is where a few guys within my space utilize it. They use this side of consent of the coin where they say, well, if we're not going to have sex and I'm worth so much within the relationship, I'm going to leave and take myself out of this picture, and because of that, so that's one side of the consent side of the coin, and you can literally use that side in a negative manner, and you can actually get sex through that negative manner, and some of you guys do, and you have. And the only flip side of things is that when you do, it's only short-lived, so it's not a sustainable way of doing things. And the other flip side of the coin of consent is the fact that because you don't want her to do something that she's uncomfortable with, you become so low value, or you start doing behaviors that are low value. And what I mean by that is that you are in response to how she behaves sexually. So if she doesn't do anything sexually, or she doesn't behave in any way sexual, then you are not going to do anything sexual. So you're sort of waiting, and I know some of you guys, your normal tactic is then to use sexual innuendos to see if she's going to give you anything indicator, then you make your move. So you're almost waiting to see this sort of move from her in order for you to make a move. So which puts you in reaction, which is a very low value frame. And what that does is that the biggest problem with that is that you're not giving it the opportunity to feel desired. Now, a lot of literature, a lot of films, a lot of our society, the way we look at seduction and being seduced, usually the man, and you see from films, from sitcoms, traditionally, the man is the seducer and the lady is a seducee. I don't know if you can use that. And it's within that when you look at consent and you decide not to make any moves because you don't want to put it under any external pressure you don't want to do anything sexual because you're waiting for her to act in order for you to react. What that does is then forces you to be continuously waiting and that, because it's low value, it really doesn't give her that opportunity for her to feel desired. She doesn't feel like you are chasing after her, and she doesn't feel like you're going for it. And again, this is disheartening, and it's really in conflict to what she thinks a relationship should look like. And really, a lot of you guys are within a sexless relationship because of this piece here, that you've thought about consent, and because of how you've viewed consent, it is distorting the way you approach the relationship sexually, and then therefore really having a negative impact on how she views you as a sexual partner. So the flip side of this whole consent side of things, it then begs the question, how do I get her to move along within the seduction in a way that doesn't make her feel like she's being forced, and in a way that's going to make her feel like she wants to do so. So not only is she investing into the relationship, but also she's compliant to the places I want to take her. So in terms of sexually, so you have to start looking at that. So if you look at consent, you now have to separate consent from compliance, and you think, okay, everything that I'm doing sexually, you have to start viewing it as more of I'm presenting an opportunity for us to connect. I'm presenting this opportunity for us to move forward sexually. I'm presenting this opportunity for us to explore something sexually. So there's all these things that you can be doing, and all of them have to be viewed from as the frame of I am offering you something, and it's still your choice whether you want to go or not to go. And again, it doesn't not even more about whether she wants to go or not to go. It always becomes down to what's your level of comfort to going forward. Now, that's very crucial when you think about it that way, because then it's not a sense of a yes or a no. It now just becomes, where are you in terms of moving forward? And this reframes how you view rejection, because now all of a sudden, if I held your hand and then pulled you towards me and you're resisting, it's resistance. She's not comfortable with you pulling her in. So now it changes the interaction to what is going on in order for you. What is stopping you from feeling comfortable for me pulling your hand and pulling you into my... Again, this now initiates a different conversation. And when you view it from that perspective, it always then comes down to compliance. Why aren't you compliant to go to this plane? Why aren't you compliant to move towards me? And this brings up new interactions, but not just that, it gives you an opportunity to start opening up opportunities that will make you feel comfortable. So it becomes very important when you think of compliance, it's more about creating that environment where she feels comfortable to be making certain moves, or not even just her making certain moves. You are creating certain moves or doing certain moves in order for her to feel comfortable to move to the next step within your initiation. So whenever, if you're initiating sex, or initiating a little bit of seduction, or initiating something that is playful, all of that will now be you presenting this opportunity, and just based off your comfort levels, see if you're actually going to move forward, which is completely different when you look at it from a consent perspective, because it becomes very binary when it comes to a consent, like, is she on or is she off? And then if she's on, I want to see a signal that she's on in order for me to move, which then really is very, very negative frame of mind. Again, this puts you not as a leader, it makes you more of a follower, because I'm now in reaction to what she's doing. Whereas if you're looking for compliance, it's me leading and saying, are you prepared to go to this next level here? And if she says no, or at least she's not ready, then at least how can I get you ready to go to this next level? Because again, when you are looking for compliance, it means that you've already decided where the relationship is going to go. And again, it removes any ambiguity on where you are, removes any ambiguity on what is required of the relationship in order to move to the next level. But also it gives you a roadmap of, if she's not comfortable to go there, what it is that you need to be addressing in a relationship in order for you to get there. I'll say that again. So if the outcome is not ambiguous, so the outcome is not diluted, that, okay, this is where we want to go, when you're looking for compliance, it gives you an opportunity to see what's stopping her from moving along. So, for example, you've presented the opportunity. If she shows a stance of resistance, it opens up the conversation of what is the next step that you needed to take in order to get closer to that place that you've decided that you wanted to take the relationship. So again, it takes a whole different ball game. Now, in terms of tactically what that looks like, on the other day, my wife goes, on the weekend, are you going to fuck me or what? And I remember saying this to a client, and I started thinking about it, like, what was happening for her to actually say that? And it wasn't the case that she just all of a sudden came up with this thing. I was thinking in her mind for her to say, are you going to fuck me or what? It was more of a case of I was proactively doing things within our interactions for her to do so. So I was doing things like proactively doing open loops. So I talked about this a few episodes ago, episodes ago, when it's saying that when it comes to seduction, seduction is, in terms from a tactical standpoint, you are creating open loops, and you can create open loops verbally. So you say things that, in fact, let me take a step back. What an open loop is that you do something and then you don't complete it, and then she feels the need to complete it. That's the most basic way I can put it. So, and I think I gave an example of if I said 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's an open loop there. I think I missed 5, so 4. So I missed 5. All of a sudden, your brain is going to want to put that missing piece in there. And that's what an open loop is. So you can do that verbally, where you say something and then it opens. Now, I'm not saying specifically, because when I do an open loop, it comes so natural, and I've been doing it so naturally that I sometimes don't even remember what I said. So let me try and remember one. I can't think of the top of my head, but something will be along the lines of she needs to complete that. So, for example, I think the one that I do quite often is I disqualify myself sexually. She says, like, for example, I'm trying to think of an open loop. It's something so an open loop verbally would be along the lines of me disqualifying myself sexually, like, no, you can't have any of this, or I'm not even feeling aroused right now. So, for example, she's doing something overtly sexual, and she wants a response from me. I'll be like, there's nothing at all. I'm not even getting anything. So that's an open loop. For example, she can't walk away from it and just say, okay, yeah, you're not feeling anything, and then be okay. She's dissatisfied by my answer. So now she needs to amp it up in order to try and get me to that place. So that's an open loop. Physically is more something like I walk up towards her, then I'm almost looks like I'm about to kiss her, and then while I'm about to kiss her, then I walk away. It creates a massive open loop, and then she's going to want to fill that gap. So if I leave her and I'm actually literally leaving the house, the whole time I'm away, she's thinking about finishing the kiss. So again, it creates that open loop and intensifies the attraction. So again, that's just an example. But you see how that becomes easier to create compliance when you do so. Because again, you've created this massive open loop. Therefore, it's no longer about consent. You are getting it to chase, but also you're getting it to chase towards the prescribed thing that where you wanted to go. So, for example, if it's sex, then you're creating those open loops, getting to that place. Now, this is the amazing part about it, is that when it comes to because somebody was asking me and somebody was telling me about, how do I get a quickie, and then how do I get like a really sensual long session, and what's the difference with that? Isn't it? So I said you can optimize what you're doing in terms of getting compliance based off of the thing. So for example, if I wanted a quickie, then I would be doing stuff that is more spontaneous. There'll be lot more the way I kiss and the way I'm creating those moments in places that are conducive for that, and also verbally, I would verbalize those things like, let's do something exciting, let's do something spontaneous, and so on. And then that would create that sort of environment for us, or at least that sort of outcome for us to do a quickie based off of the things that I'm doing proactively. And again, most people don't do stuff proactively because there's got this sense of I'm going to be rejected. So therefore, the fear of rejection is governed by the way you view consent, because now you think if I move beyond what rejection is, it's me overstepping what is based off of consent. So you have to come to terms with this, that consent has got nothing to do with what you're doing proactively. And when you are doing something proactively, it's you creating opportunities for her. And as you create those opportunities for her, any resistance is not a rejection. It's not the end of what you're doing. It just means that she's not comfortable taking this next step. So that means that maybe you might need to change things down a little bit more in order for you to move her to the next step. So there's been a lot that I've unpacked here. And it's something, like I said, it's definitely going to change your relationship to the next level, moving on from here in terms of when it's sexless and where you want to take it. A lot of it is going to come down to this. If you can come to terms with, consent and really understand that what you're doing sexually is not overstepping, but it's you creating opportunities for your relationship to move to the next level. It changes your approach and makes you more proactive rather than reactive, because a lot of you guys are reactive in a relationship, and when you're reactive, it is governed by this thing where you're looking at yourself and you're looking at the consent side of the relationship and really thinking about either overstepping it and using guilt and shame in order to get sex, or you're on the other flip side of things where you're just trying to avoid any sense of pressure in order, and because of that, you're actually waiting for her to make the first move in order for you to make your move, which is, again, terrible place to be. So hopefully that's something that has been impactful, something that has been extremely helpful for you guys to figure out and think about. If you've got any questions surrounding this, go to thriving_tribesmen on our Instagram, and we'll take you through a free seduction blueprint where we're going to take you through what this looks like. So what does that look like in terms of compliance? What are the things that we are teaching our clients in order to create the environment of mutual seduction? There's certainly some things that we've been teaching them in terms of tactically. It's something that I have to know you before I can teach you something tactically, because what I do with my wife is probably completely different to what you will do with your wife and what she'll be responsive to. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be speaking to you guys soon. Take care.